right? You spend time with the Lord.
Yes.
Every morning.
Yes.
He downloads. You want to answer that real quick? Just answer real quick.
Hey, babe.
Hello.
Hey, boo.
When are you coming?
Right now I got 10 more minutes. It's because we started at 3:30.
I knew it. That's why I told you.
I'll call you right now, babe. I'm almost done.
I'm not kidding.
I love you.
I'm freaking being serious, dude.
I know, babe. I love you.
This is all going into
No,
the video.
it's 3:20, so what does that mean? You're gonna be home at 5?
No, I'm gonna be home at 4:40. It's 4:20.
Alright.
I love you. Bye. It's my wife, dude. She messes me.
I'm definitely putting that in the video. Man, thanks for being here today, dude.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You nervous?
I don't know why, but it's one of those things I have to break through this, so.
Yeah. I'm kind of nervous too, I'm not gonna lie.
For real?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that though before?
I have.
Oh, you have?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
You're not alone. Yeah. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo, but... yeah. This is going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. Powerful.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm expecting really big things from this one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, I've known you for 13 years now?
13 years, yeah.
It's a long time, dude.
13 years, yeah.
13 years.
From nothing, remember that?
From nothing. Sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, in the one little bedroom.
Yeah.
My mom's.
Twin-size bed, you and Jerry.
Yeah.
And the little superhero dun-dun-duns.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. That's a wild ride. Wild
It is
ride.
wild ride.
Wild
To
ride
be where
now.
we're at now,
Yeah.
like, it's just crazy. You know, it just trips me out to see, like, the stuff that we have now. We're able to experience, you know?
Yeah. That's good, because that's kind of how the topic of the conversation, I really want to be able to focus on that, right? So, you know, originally I had asked you to come onto the podcast, do an interview with me, and I had told you at that time that the idea of the interview was to be able to talk about success and vision and where those things come from and then how to have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like you were one of the guys that I really wanted to sit down and talk to. I mean, we talk every day already, but I wanted to be able to put you in an environment where not only are you talking to me, but you're talking to countless amount of other people out there that, like yourself and myself, have gone through just so much stuff in their lives, to be able to look at the example that you're setting now and say, hey, look, if this guy can do it, I definitely can. You know, his upbringing and the places that he's come from to where he's at now, you know, maybe the things that you've gone through are tougher than what somebody else has gone through. I think, and just to kind of like sidestep, I think sometimes we have the tendency to look at our own situation, and the perspective of that situation is kind of what we really look at is the way that we really look at things, right? And sometimes we can see our own situations, even though they might not be as hard of a struggle as somebody else, but it's like devastating for us, right? But I think being able to see from an outsider's perspective, see, oh man, you know what? Yeah, what I'm going through is really hard. That person went through something a lot harder than I did, and they were successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even in the sense that maybe they've gone through the same thing. I just want to be able to have your testimony, your story, like, be, you know, amazing for somebody else to listen to and say, yeah, I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it too. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, dude. Honestly, like, I'm really excited about today. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so nervous, and the fact that I just had finished my coffee earlier.
Yeah, you got bubble guts.
I don't have bubble guts. No bubble guts, right? That's classic.
Sorry, dude, I had to
Oh my gosh. But focus. I wanted to be able to sit down with you and
for
have
sure.
you kind of talk about that kind of stuff. I think it's impactful and powerful for other people to be able to hear that. But before we go any farther, before we really dive into this thing, I want to tell everybody thank you for joining us today and listening to this podcast, Footnotes with Justin Garland. This is technically episode 3 of the Vision series. The second episode didn't get posted. It actually got scrapped, but we'll have to revisit that. Hopefully today we have no technical difficulties with today's video, which I probably should get up and see just to make sure. But thank you guys for joining in. Today's guest, Brian Lazcano, owner of 3-Phase Electric here in the city of Whittier, California. Man, it's good to have you on, bro.
Thank you.
It's really good to have you on. How do you feel?
Good.
Yeah,
just like a regular, normal conversation that we always have.
Yeah.
Which I'm ready for it, so.
Good, I'm glad. So here we are, Bubble Guts McGee. No, I'm kidding. Here we are with Brian Lazcano, again, the owner of 3-Phase Electric. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the viewers, not me, because I know, right? It's the viewers that really need to know.
Right.
Tell the viewers about Brian Lazcano. Who are you? Who is Brian Lazcano?
But like, as in, so when you're asking me about me, what do you mean, like the new me?
If somebody was to look up Brian Lazcano, right? Let's say they did a Google search on Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were the writer of that Google search. What would you say about yourself?
That's a tough one, I don't think I've ever spent time to really think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much my days are just going by the day,
Yeah.
So like, one thing that I can say about myself is that I'm just like anybody else, waking up every day, having the same amount of time every day. It's just what I do with my days is what makes me different.
Got it. Okay. I hear that. So what makes you different then? What are the things that you do with your days that make you different?
I think it's mostly like when I wake up and I'm able to spend time with Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have that fulfillment early morning, because I'm gonna get hit with the same things that everybody else gets hit every day. Everybody gets hit with stuff in life, life is hard. So for me, I set my day, I tone it out to where I'm in tune with Jesus, I know it might sound kind of weird for other people, but that's just my anchor, that's my foundation. Because if not, I won't be able to go throughout the day, I'll be distracted by the obstacles. I'll be distracted by the hardship of life, in general. So that kind of preps my day out to be like staying in focus with this voice and knowing when obstacles hit, I'm not going to let it rob me from the opportunities that are set before me. So that's why I believe that where I'm at in life, it's because of that, and I grab a hold of it, because if I'm moved and I don't set my day out before I step out of bed,
Mm-hmm.
then I wouldn't be where I'm at, because I would be moved by situations. I'll be moved by anything that comes as negative,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll rob me from what God has for me for that day. So I think that's kind of what makes me different. Not to act like I'm better than anybody, but the reason why I'm the way that I am, it's because of, when I got saved and having Jesus in my life. Because before I didn't know, I was just going about my day. And I honestly think that anybody can do it. It just depends on who you hang out with, the people that you surround yourself with. But if you come out from a mindset that you don't have people that encourage you that way or implement that kind of stuff in your life that will better you, then it will be always stuck and bound,
Yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty cool. So you said some things right now, and I want to unpack them. Okay. Because I think what you've said a lot in a short amount of time, but I just want to get your permission before we go. I think we're going to get pretty deep right now.
Okay, let's go deep.
Okay.
On that.
So, you haven't always been saved.
No.
No. And that foundation of being able to start your day spending time with Jesus, that wasn't always. No. Okay. I still remember the day that I met you.
Yeah.
And even we had an impactful, powerful moment when we first met.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I know you know this, like you remember,
Yeah.
we met each other walking down the the aisle between the chairs at church.
Let's get it straight. The church aisle.
The church aisle, right?
No other aisle. When we're getting married or anything.
And we walk down the aisle, see each other, make eye contact, not knowing each other.
Yeah.
We didn't. I don't even think we said 2 words to each other.
That was the first time.
The first time we saw each other and just hugged.
Yeah.
And just started crying together. I remember the voice of the Lord telling me at that time, "This is your brother."
Yeah.
And I just bawled my eyes out. But even then, like, that wasn't, like, you kind of established it after that. But
Yeah.
what led up? So I guess I really want to unpack what led up to that. Your upbringing, kind of dive in a little bit. And again, it's at your pace as far as what you want to, dive into or what you want to divulge to the audience. But I think it's a very impactful story. So kind of tell us about your upbringing, if you could.
Okay. So my upbringing, pretty much, it's a typical kind of like Hispanic family, broken home. I didn't have a dad, so I didn't have a role model that was gonna show me how to be a man. Showing me, basically having somebody to look up to, as a father figure. So my mom, she wasn't typically always home. She was always having to work. I have a little sister, a little brother, so I was the oldest, obviously. And I never had that kind of like a family, We kind of were like surviving on our own while my mom was at work. She would get home late, I had to be taking care of my sister, my little brother, making food and stuff. And eventually, I was like so broken inside because I started questioning, like, why, how come I don't have a dad, why isn't my family complete, why isn't my mom and my dad together? So I started questioning these things. And for my mom, as her days went on, trying to figure out how to pay bills, have clothes for us, and food, all that, I think she was more caught up in that, she didn't really get to spend time with us as she should have, So I started seeking, trying to find that identity, trying to find that father figure elsewhere, which was in the streets and stuff. So I think within high school, that's kind of where I kind of really started seeking the streets, trying to go ahead and seek, trying to find who can show me how to be that man, how to be that father. So obviously I started seeking it in the wrong areas, where eventually it led me to being part of a neighborhood that pretty much from the moment I got into all that, my life went downhill, mentally, that's like the most important thing. My mind it brought so much trauma in my mind, things that I shouldn't have done at a young age, from 15 years old till I was 21, like 20, about to turn 21, and it was just heartbreaking for me, I got to a point where I felt like that's it, my mom was lost, I couldn't cope with anything, I hated people, I wasn't sociable.
Yeah.
My mind was just already gone pretty much, doing drugs, all the violence that I had to go through, and it wasn't healthy, I went from being in and out of institutions to like mental hospitals, so that kind of gives you an idea where my mind was at. I had no hope at all, I was completely lost, medicated, nobody was able to help me, You know, even my mom herself, you know, she felt that way too. She couldn't do nothing no more for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't have no hope, honestly, you know? I felt like that was it. This is my life. I'm a low life, you know? I don't have nothing going for me. I'm either gonna end up dead or in jail, you know, for the rest of my life. That was where my life was at. Those were my type of like my lifestyle. That was my lifestyle. I couldn't see past that. You know, I couldn't see like, oh man, I'm gonna change people's lives, touch people's lives, or do better for myself. I didn't have that. I didn't have that in my dictionary. You know, like it wasn't something that I was able to visualize. I knew that I wanted to change deep inside, but I just didn't know how. I felt like I was so bound and in chains that something kept oppressing me to keep me down. You know, and that's why every day I kept getting hit with more things in life, more and more and more, and it was just breaking my identity. It broke my identity so far that I couldn't even like try to seek Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
I just felt like I wasn't worthy, shame, all that. I felt like I was so far away from him that I was like, I'm just stuck here and that's just gonna be my life.
Yeah.
Until one day, you know, like the last year, you know, when I was just going through everything, I felt like life got so heavy on me that I wanted to just take my own life, you know? And it was like very heavy. Like at the time I didn't know what it was, but now I know what was going on. I was going into a transition and I'm just gonna share, you know, I'm gonna go deep in it, but you know, I really believe that there's spiritual warfare out there. So in that transition, I honestly believe that the devil didn't want to let go of me. He didn't. He wanted to keep me bound, and he knew where I was going. He knew where I was heading. So he wanted to keep me bound. So he hit me harder than ever. So the closer I was getting into that transition, you know, like I like using the method of the Red Sea, you know. I'm bound in Egypt, right?
Right.
And I'm making my way through the Red Sea. And he was doing whatever he could to try to hold me back, to grab me. He was putting all his top soldiers on me to make me give up and tap out, you know, in life, physically, like to kill my own self, you know. So he seen that transition, and when I was going through that, he knew that I was gonna reach the other side. So he was gonna do whatever he could to try to keep me back.
Yeah.
So I got hit so hard that day, that night, it was like around 5 p.m. I remember, and I was at my mom's house in Norwalk, and I had Jeremiah, and I just remember it like yesterday. You know, like I got home and nobody was home. It was just me and him, and I just told him, like, you know, I went in the living room and I was like, Pop, you know, I was like, I'm gonna put a movie on for you, and if the movie finishes and Nana's not home, don't come look for me, you know, because I was gonna go in the restroom and take my life. And I went in the restroom, sure enough, and something inside me, like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. Something was overpowering my body that it was trying to make me, you know, take my life, and I was fighting it, but I couldn't at the same time. It was like trying to make me do it, and all of a sudden my phone rang and everything just calmed. Everything just like peace came like right away. And I answered that phone call, and somebody invited me to church.
Wow.
I stopped crying and stuff, you know, I held it together. I didn't tell them what was going on. I just answered because I was like kind of tripping out because I haven't talked to them like in 2 years. So when I answered, they invited me to church, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'll go. They invited me that same night. I just got ready real quick, got Jerry again. We hopped in the car, and then we drove to the church. And the moment I pulled up in the parking lot, I just felt God's love. I knew it was God's love. I didn't even hear no message. I didn't hear nothing. Nobody prayed for me. Nobody prayed over me, I mean.
Yeah.
But the moment I pulled up, I just broke down. It took me like 10, 15 minutes to get out of the car because I just felt something over me, like a love that I never ever felt.
Yeah.
You know? So then as I'm making my way through, I was still crying. I was broken, trying to keep it together. I just couldn't explain that kind of love. I knew that it was love, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, next thing you know, I'm in the altar just surrendering, you know, getting delivered. You know, from that day on, I think that's when we met after, like a few weeks after. And I just wanted to go ahead and just do whatever I had to keep that with me. Because I knew, like, it's crazy because that first day that I left, I felt like something was after me to kind of take that away from me. Because whatever I left with that night, it was something that I wasn't going to find in drugs, in the street, from doing anything. I wasn't going to get, I knew, like, because I just felt like I kind of tried everything. I never felt this. It felt like I was whole. You know, I felt like I was complete.
Yeah.
But I knew, like, I still felt like there was somebody lurking. You know, not physically, but I felt like there was something like, it was just weird. At the time, I couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
But now I know what it was, you know?
Yeah.
So I knew, like, whatever I had to do, if I had to beat somebody up to keep it, I was literally going to do that. I was like, nobody's going to take this from me, you know?
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever felt a fatherly love, honestly. Like, I felt my mom's love, but obviously it's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, that changed my life, literally. Like, that day, I went home. My mom used to she would be scared of me because sometimes I would, like, flip out crazy.
Right.
And that day, that night, it was like 11 at night. Because remember, at church, it starts 7.
Yeah.
By the time you're heading out, like, church is finishing, it's almost 9. And then you're meeting people. By then, it was, like, almost 11 by the time I was getting home.
Right.
So my mom was asleep, getting ready to go to work. And I just barged into her room, you know? And she was scared. She didn't know what was going on. She probably thought I was going to hurt her or something. And for the first time, I went and I hugged her.
Wow.
I hugged her and I was just holding her and crying. I just told her how much I loved her and that I was sorry.
Wow.
For everything, you know? So ever since then, since that day, I started getting involved with church and they started teaching me about renewing your mind. You know, and how it was important. If I wanted to make it, if I wanted to have all the things that God has made available for my life.
Yeah.
And not even so much about that. It was the relationship. The thing that I felt the most was that love, and I knew that it had to be kept with the relationship. It wasn't so much, I want the benefits of it. I didn't want that. I was good enough with just the love. That's all I was, you know, literally.
Yeah.
But and then the more I renewed my mind, I started understanding that all those things are going to come with it, you know?
Yeah.
The relationship you have with him, he's going to make everything else available. You know? Like, I didn't see him as a coupon. I didn't see him as a genie. I didn't see him as any of that.
Right.
I was just like, I want to fall in love with you more. You know, I want to keep you more. I want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
It's huge. It's really huge. So, I mean, growing up, obviously, we wouldn't say it was easy.
No. Mm-hmm.
You know, from where like I said before, from where I met you to where we are now, I think even from that point, obviously, you had one transition or transformation moment going from where you were at as a young boy, young man, to finding that relationship with the Lord, to having that love from Him. That's one transformation or transition. And then from that point even to today, I would say, because there was a period of maybe 5 or 6 years where we didn't really communicate with each other.
Right.
And looking back, like, okay, here's another transformation point or transition period. And understanding that, because I know for even for a while, and I'll say it, you know it, I was a little upset not being able to talk to my brother for 6 years, right? But I will say that I am not just okay with, I'm proud of the transition that you went through in those years, to understand that this was something that God had to walk with you through to help you become the man that you are now, right? Married, 4 amazing children, right? A thriving business. But in that transition, in that transformation, what was it that helped you identify the vision for your life?
Well, at the time, I mean, I knew that I was a child of God for sure. Like, I grabbed a hold of that, you know, and I understood that wherever I went, I was gonna have favor. But I don't think at the time of my life when we first stopped talking, not like in a negative way, but I kind of had to separate myself because I wanted to seek more. I wanted to work on myself more, not because I was like falling back into my old ways. No, it was just because I felt like I needed to really seek more of that. I wanted more because I had so much trauma built up in my brain that I needed to really attack it from the root.
Yeah.
You know? Like, a lot of times we spent so much time fiddling with the leaves and unplucking leaves, but in reality we got to get to the root of all those things.
Right.
We don't have time to be picking leaves out and being like, oh, okay, I'm cool for right now, and it's still deep in there.
Right.
For me, I didn't want that. Whatever was not from God, like, I didn't want it at all in my life. And I didn't know it all, because there was things that I was like 6 years old, that it was trauma that I had at that time that I didn't even know I had, you know?
Yeah.
Even those things, you know, not to say that I'm perfect, because it's a lifestyle. Renewing your mind is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not oh, I'm good, you know? Oh, look at my life. Look where I'm at, you know?
Right.
I'm solid. Like, no, I do it every day. And you know, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm always getting books, reading, trying to find ways how to better myself. But going back to that question that you asked, I didn't really know about being an owner or having our own company until like 4 years ago. You know, now it's 4 years ago. At the time, I was just like, cool, like where I'm at, I'm working, I'm favored. I know God's gonna open up doors to move me up in companies to be where, you know, I'm gonna be able to have more opportunities, you know, more freedom, you know, more financial freedom, or whatever the case might be. I just knew it came with it. But 4 years ago was when I was really spending time with them, and one of the mornings before I went to work, and God placed it in my heart, and he's like, you're going to be a business owner. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew where, though. Like, I kind of knew, like, it was going to be for electrical, because that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really, like, grab a hold of it at that time, you know? But the more I kept spending time with them, and I started acknowledging that, I started being put in positions that I was like, oh shoot, like this is really gonna happen.
Yeah.
This is really gonna take place. Because that's one thing that we miss. Again, like going from the back, from, you know, when I was first saying, like, if we get caught up with the whole world, you remember, like, starting my day?
Right.
If we get focused on what the world is throwing at us, we're gonna miss all those opportunities. God puts us in position every day.
Right.
But when we get hit with stuff, trials, anything, and we focus on those opportunities are just missed. And then the next day, missed, the next day. Because our mindsets are designed to be survival. That's all it is, survival, doing your own thing. Figure it out. Oh shit, you're getting hit with this? Find out how you're going to survive from it in your own strength. You know? So God's always trying to put us in position. He knows we're not perfect. Right. That's why we need him. That's why grace is there. He's not going to be like, oh, you did this morning? Well, this opportunity I gave you here, I'm not going to give it to you. He doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
That's why we need to renew our minds every morning. And those trials that come our way, they want us to miss those opportunities that God has for us. So for me, I kept seeing these things like landing on my lap. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that's crazy. And every year, every month, every day, I started being like, oh, shoot, like this thing's moving quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang. And people that I know, they're like, oh, I'll wait 20 years and then I'll open my company.
Right.
Open 25 years and open my company. No, I started realizing that God will make things happen. Whatever can take a week, He'll make it happen in a day. Whatever could take a month, it'll happen in a week. Whatever could take a year, it'll happen in a month.
Yeah.
2 years in a year, 4 years, and like that. And I just know that God moves quick.
Yeah.
It might not make sense, but there was one time that I told you, like, if you get a vision that does not make sense, that's a God-given vision.
Right.
But if it makes sense to Justin, if it makes sense to me, that's not a godly vision.
Right.
Because God is big. God is like bigger than anything. It doesn't make sense to natural people's minds, right?
Right.
So for shoot, man, it makes me emotional, because I know where I came from, and that's why we have to stay in tune every day.
Yeah.
Life is hard already,
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that all that Jesus wants to do is acknowledge Him every day. That's it. Not being a weird little hallelujah weirdo guy. That's what majority of the world make it to be.
Right.
He just wants you to walk with Him. Be you.
Yeah.
You're original. You're the OG Justin. That's it. Nobody else. You got your own sauce. I got my own sauce.
Yeah.
And we got to get in the kitchen and whip it,
Yeah.
And it's true, though. Did I answer your question? Is that good?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to see if you want to add some more to that, but I think you pretty much...
No, I could.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling. So with that vision, I'll ask this then. What do you believe? Let me back up. So when you're talking about having a godly vision for your life, right? And it was something that God dropped in your spirit. Hey, you're gonna own your own company one day. And that was already while you were doing something. You were already working for somebody else as an electrician, right? So here you are, you're already walking out something that you didn't even know yet was going to be the vision for your life of being an electrical company owner. Right? And then God drops that in your spirit. Now that you're doing it, what are some of the things that you can say or even attest to as far as like your daily processes of holding on to that vision? Because, and I think you and I just went through the same, like we went through this together just recently this season where things kind of slowed down, right? And I'll ask this question, I already know the answer to it. Was there ever a moment where you're like, man, I just want to quit?
I knew you were going to ask that. No, honestly, if I didn't have the days planned out the way I do every day, I would have quit,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit, but that's why it's so important for me to have that fire lit inside of me.
Right.
And honestly, like, you can't just go into, the way I see it is like, if you don't have a strong why, like why you're doing it, and every level you hit, you got to have a new why. You just add more to that why.
Got it.
Because every level you hit, every rank you go up, you're going to be stretched out more.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't handle that and you don't remember your why, then you're not going to fight for it.
So what's your why?
So my why, the reason why the company is there is because I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of people when I share it with people. And for me, I don't care if it doesn't make sense. All I know is that God had placed me in this area of my life to open up a company to give back to the needy, Like I don't care about finances. I don't care about living a lavish life. I don't care, because I know that that's just gonna come with it. So why am I gonna focus on those things? Because I know it's just there already. So for me, my heart is like, we're building this for the kingdom. We're building this for God, and God is a platform of it, and He wants us to be able to provide to the people within our community. Yeah, I understand, like Africa, all those places too, but a lot of times we forget that our own community needs help as well.
Yeah.
You know, from anything. You know, and that's why I want us to build that. And I want everybody part of that team to have that same vision, to have a heart for the people that don't have anything.
Right.
You know, the children, the families, you know, programs, whatever it is, you know, and that's why, like, I've been getting more with the chambers of the cities, you know, because I want to be involved more. I want all of us to be involved more.
Yeah.
Whatever it is we can do to kind of better everything, you know, because I remember when I was a kid, you know, I didn't have the greatest programs. I didn't have people speaking into my life. I didn't have any of that. So now that we're placed in a position that we're going to be able to be known and let people know what we're doing and why we're doing it, it's going to be very beneficial to make Jesus' name known and his love to spread out through all these cities. The way I look at it too is like, your why is like is the anchor for your boat. You know, if you don't have a why, you're basically telling me that you'll drive your boat out into the ocean without an anchor. And that means you're done, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not going to get on a boat without an anchor and head out to the storm out there.
Right.
Into the deep without an anchor. There's no way. You talk to anybody else that owns a boat or does those kind of things, they know the importance of having the anchor, why you need it. And that's almost like not having your why. If you don't have your why, you're basically sailing out into the deep without an anchor. And once the storm hits, you're done. You're tipped over. You're just freaking somewhere else. You're lost.
Yeah, blown way over there.
You give up. You quit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my importance. You know, I got to remember every day the vision. Another thing that I can share is that one thing that I learned was, how does it go? If you fail to plan, then you're planning on failing.
Right, right.
So you got to make sure you have a plan. Your plan is your why.
There we go. Okay. So your plan, what you're saying then is that your plan is a direct relation to your why.
Yeah.
So what is it then? What is your plan? Or how did you develop your plan? And the reason I'm asking is because, again, a lot of these people that are watching or listening in, we have to understand that, you know, sometimes they might have heard these things before, like, oh, you have to have a plan, you have to have a why, right? You have to have a vision for your life, right? You know, create a vision board and all these other things.
Right.
And it's all practical stuff, and they're things that are good, right? But I think sometimes the one thing that people don't necessarily know or understand how to do would be to, like, the smallest process of having the plan. You have a plan. What was it that helped you develop the plan? Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? Are you ever altering the plan? Is there anything? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So where it came from was me spending my intimate time with Jesus, you know, staying broken. Because honestly, like, I don't think there's really that much companies that have a heart like that trying to build something to give back, you know. Maybe there is a few, but I mean, where my heart's at is reminding myself where I came from. And I don't want to have any financial freedom without being able to impact people's life. Like, it takes money to help people out.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're paying like their rent, paying something, I don't know, anything, buying them houses, you know?
Yeah.
As I know that sounds crazy, but again, that's something that God has placed in my heart. It don't make sense to me, you know, but to see it in effect now, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And when you're saying altering it, every time I hit a rank, every time I hit a new level and I'm being stretched, I have to alter it to add it more, because if not, I'm not gonna be able to hang. You know, every level I hit is just, again, I can't be comfortable. The moment I'm comfortable, I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
But once you're feeling it and you feel all this stuff coming towards you and you're feeling stretched, you know that you're gonna hit that next level. And that why is what keeps me flowing, keeps me moving, you know? And I do have to alter it like almost every day, you know? I gotta still keep it, but I modify it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm spending more time with Jesus, that's when I'm getting more landed on my lap, you know?
Yeah.
He's adding more to it.
Yeah.
It's not just gonna be one thing. It's just gonna keep adding, and it's not gonna make sense. And then I'm just tapping into it, and running with it.
Right, right. Do you ever write the plan down?
Yes.
I know it sounds like a stupid question.
I actually
Right.
do. You have to write it down.
That's baby. Here she is. She wants to be a part of the video today. She's like, I want to come out here and say hi, guys. Grab some water. Watch this. She's going to walk all the way back to her mommy.
Says she doesn't know that.
She's so funny. Oh my gosh. So, as simple as that question is,
Yeah.
the answer's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Do you write the plan down?
Do I write the plan down? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have it written down. You have to have something that you can fall back and always fall back on and just read it. And every time you're reading it, it's embedding in your heart, you know?
Say that again.
Every time you're reading it, you start visualizing it, and then every moment you're reading it, it's getting embedded in your heart deeper and deeper and deeper until you're finally going to see it manifest in your life.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So you write the plan down.
Yes.
So we're going to unpack that for a second real quick, okay?
Unpack it, yes.
Because I think what you just said was really, really powerful.
Okay.
And I don't want people to miss it.
All right.
So we're going to unpack that process because this is, I think it's vital too. Understanding that you spend time with the Lord in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord downloads the plan to you.
Right.
Right? Any new things or old, whatever the case is, or maybe old things that you're going to focus on, right? And you write that down.
Right.
And then after writing it down, you read it, right? How often are you reading it?
At least almost every day.
Yeah, okay. And you're reading it out loud, or are you reading it to yourself?
Out loud.
Out loud.
Yeah,
Okay.
speak it. I have to speak it.
And you have to speak
keep
it why?
speaking it. Because when you speak, there's power in your words. When you start speaking it, you start framing it. You might not see it right away, but you're speaking things into the spiritual. I know that that's my only thing, bro. I'm sorry. I gotta go that route. But
Do it.
you speak it, it's in the spiritual.
Yeah.
So you got everything just flowing in the spiritual, and then you got to keep speaking it until it comes true and you manifest it in your life. You know, just like when you hear people saying like, oh, I think I'm getting sick, or I think I'm getting the flu or the cold. The next thing you know, you catch them and they got all those things. Because again, there's power in our words, but we're designed the same in a way where it's going to keep us bound, you know, by what we feel, by our emotions.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But they never taught us like the truth meaning behind it.
Right.
But again, yes, you have to speak it to manifest it.
That's
And
huge.
I'm walking in it. I'm walking in everything that I said like from a long time ago. I'm walking in it. I remember that when we're in our apartment, little apartment, when we first started. And my wife, she would get mad because on my Instagram, I would post like big mansions, like big old rooms, nice rooms, like on hilltop houses, and I would post them saying, "Oh, this is my new house."
Yeah.
Like literally, and she'll look and she'll like, "Why are you telling people that? People are gonna think weird and all this stuff." And it was just something that I was like, "No, like that's mine. I'm owning it. I'm gonna own it."
Yeah.
And sure enough, little by little, it's just we started experiencing all those things.
That's so cool. Because and for me, it's even cooler because we're personal friends, because you're my brother, because we're brothers.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're brothers and so close to each other, I've been able to see the transitions and the transformations and the going from one level to the next level to the next level to the next level. I mean, even in this last year, being able to see, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was there when you guys had the apartment.
Yeah.
We lived down the street from each other,
Yeah.
right? And I think for a couple years we didn't even realize.
Yeah, we didn't realize.
We didn't even realize, and they were like, "Oh wait,
yeah, we're neighbors."
We're neighbors. And then you moved. You went from that. You went from the little apartment to the little house on
College.
On College, right? And dude, it, like, just to understand, because I understand that you went from one level to the next,
Yeah.
right? And even though, like, it was still small in comparison to where you're at now,
Yeah.
it was still bigger than where you started.
Yeah. Yeah, that
And
was big for me.
That was big. I mean, because even from, if we take it back,
Yeah.
we look at on the floor
Yeah.
at your mom's in Norwalk,
Yeah.
right? Twin size bed,
Yeah.
right?
Like 10 of us in there.
Right? So to go from that,
Yeah.
you know, losing cars, right?
Yeah. Losing cars, yeah. Like, what's crazy is that when people look at our life now, they almost think like we did it effortless. You know?
Yeah.
They look at it as in like we didn't go through anything. We make it look easy.
Yeah.
But they don't know the sacrifice behind it.
Right.
They don't know that when God hands you the bag, how you're going to secure it, and you're securing it every day by changing the way you think. And that's the thing that people don't understand. It kind of breaks my heart though, because I haven't got approached by a family member or anything to be like, hey, yo, you know, how are you doing it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes me emotional. Sometimes I take it to heart, you know, but sometimes I got to understand is like my even own family are not going to go where I'm going, you know?
Right.
And sometimes I gotta just man up and be like, that's just the truth. You know, so when people see us or see me or people that know me, they almost think like, yeah, it was done effortless, you know? Because you gotta really put yourself in it, you know? God hands you something, you gotta make it work. You gotta go in there and put it in work, you know?
Right.
You can't just sit back with it and just wait. Be like, oh, well, he says I can have everything. He says I can have this. He says I can do this and that. And I'm still sitting there doing nothing with it. You gotta put it in action, just like today, you know, when we're at church and the pastor was saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times I understand, like, yeah, you know, we have this label over us, stuff that we did in the past, whatever, and that stuff will bound us, you know, but yeah, it's almost like people think that we make it look easy, you know, but they don't know, like how you were saying, the car is taken away.
Right.
You know, I was driving around with I had to hide my Honda Civic, you know, under the carport at the apartment for like 5 months. I ain't giving it up because we didn't have no other car. I had to go to work.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Boom! Finally, God put in my heart, like, bro, what are you doing? Like, just give it up, bro. You don't trust me?
Hey.
So I gave it up. Next thing you know, my mom's blessing us with a Saturn wagon. Like 1993 wagon. Every morning I would have to pop the hood up and then bang the starter to turn on the car for like 30 minutes.
But it was yours.
Yeah, it was kind of mine, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of mine. But and then my mom needed it again, so then I gave it to her back. But and then we already had another car. I mean, God came through.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He always came through. Just so they know, you know, like, from going through all that, like how you were saying it, you know?
Yeah.
And to be where we're at now is just something that it's just God that does it, really, you know?
Yeah, I want people to really grab a hold of, like, the understanding that, like, this ain't no fake me out, right?
No.
This is real, right? Your walk with God was the one thing that really helped propel your, not just your business, but your entire lifestyle to being the person that you are. And yeah, the benefits, right?
Yeah.
And I understand, and I believe too the same way that you do. The relationship comes first, right? I don't want nothing else but the relationship.
Right.
The benefit of it, I love it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's the benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Understanding that, like, there's going to be people that watch this, entrepreneurs, business owners, or people who want to go into business for themselves or are seeking some level of success in their own lives. It might be hard for them to understand that if I just put relationship first, the benefit of those relationships are this, right? going from level to level, and then understanding that it's not something that just pops overnight. It's literally an everyday process, right? And I think the point that I was trying to make earlier, even in saying, just so people understand, right? And it blows my mind all the time when I think about it. And it excites me in the same breath, where understanding, and I've said it before, again, even on this, as we're talking, on the floor, on the, the twin bed with just you and Jerry, right? Losing cars, but going from that to the next, to where you are now. And please understand, the house that you have now is bigger than what you were before. The property that you have now is bigger than what it was before. The personal cars that you guys have, the business vans that you guys have, like the company's growing, right? The things that you've been blessed with, right? The things and that you've worked toward, without really focusing on the outcome, just really focusing on the daily relationship, is what's brought you here, right?
Right.
And then being obedient to what God's laid out when He lays out that plan for you.
Right.
I think that's huge, and I want to leave our listeners and our viewers out with that today. Just the understanding that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
We have to trust the process, right? But we have to build that relationship, right? We have to be able to, and somebody told me this the other day, it's recreating yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Laying down the old stuff, right? And just like Pastor was talking about, leaving those things behind, right? Leave those things behind that hold us. Whatever it is, right? The trauma in our past, all that, leave it behind. And it's one of the things I was telling Selena. One of the things I was telling Selena yesterday, and it was one of the things that you and I were talking about the other night with Nicole, when I said that there's things that spoke to me that I didn't realize were really holding me back as a kid, but to understand that they were. And then I had to get in my hands, my face the other day and say, Lord, whatever that is, rip it out of me.
Yeah.
Remove it out of me. I don't want to be held to that anymore. That mindset or that limited thinking. Right? And even Steve Harvey said, man, like, you want to kill a big dream? Tell it to a small-minded thinking person.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where we've come to. It's like, we have to get rid of the old way of thinking if we want to be able to progress and succeed in our life.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes.
It's huge. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, right? We've already done something that I felt like was absolutely amazing. I think we've dropped some huge knowledge on some people. I'm excited, super excited.
Too.
I gotta let you get back to the missus.
Yeah.
Right? I gotta get to mine. Before we close out though, if you could, and this will be the first time that we're doing this.
All right.
Okay? I'm gonna ask just a small one. Nothing, don't get too Pentecostal on us today.
No.
Southern Baptist on us like you like to do.
No.
Just pray over the viewers today after listening to what we just listened to.
All right, Father God, thank you, Jesus, for this opportunity today. I thank you that you had opened up the hearts of those people and they grabbed a hold of everything that we shared today, Lord. That they will grab a hold of it and run with it. They will secure the bag, Lord. I thank you, Father, that any kind of limitations that they're going through, Lord, we bind that up now. And we thank you that they're going to keep seeking forward on what you have for them. I thank you that every step that they take, every move that they make, it's established with your word. I thank you, Lord, that you send people in their lives today that will empower them to see what you have for them. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah,
It's
always.
been a great interview.
It was good.
I know, right? I can't wait to see you again.
I know.